Hi everyone, I'm Andrieux. Today I'm going to share a few tips for creating your own skies to use in the AI Sky Replacement tool in Luminar 4. Then I'll walk you through my workflow for improving an image captured on a bright, clear, sunny day by adding some wispy clouds using the AI Sky Replacement tool to make the sky more interesting. The goal of this sky replacement is to make the photo a bit more visually appealing, but keep the realistic look and feel of the original image. Let's get started. First, we'll work on our sky image. We'll make some minor adjustments and remove a few distractions before exporting it as a high-resolution JPEG. We'll start out on the library module. I'll double-click it so you can see the full image, and then we'll move into the edit module. We'll start in the light panel, which is part of the essentials category here. And I think this needs a tiny bit more warmth, so we're going to add just a little bit of warmth using the temperature slider. And then I think it needs to be brightened up a little bit. So we'll go here to the exposure slider and we'll brighten up the sky a little bit. Next, we'll go down to the AI Enhance tool and we'll use the AI Sky Enhancer to bring out some of the detail in those clouds. Just kind of crisps up those edges. That looks great. Now, I really like what the AI Sky Enhancer did to the clouds, but I think it added a little bit too much blue to the sky. It just went back to looking a little bit unnatural. So we'll pop down here to the color tab and we'll go into the advanced settings, choose our blue tones, and then pull the saturation down just a bit so it looks a little bit more natural. Now that sky looks awesome, but we need to check for a few more things before we move on. The first one is noise. And this is best done when you zoom in to about 100%. Now you can see in some of these flat areas that there is a bit of noise. So what I'm going to do is go down here to the denoise panel and I'm going to bring up my luminosity denoise. Just about there, just to smooth out some of those artifacts that we made in our processing. Next, we'll remove any distractions. This is a great time to hunt for dust spots or anything else that you might not want to have in your sky. For this image, the light post in the bottom right has to go. We'll go over to the canvas panel and we'll choose erase. At this point, I will make my brush size a little bit bigger by using the bracket keys on the keyboard. And then I'll just paint that out. And then I'll go up to erase. And that's gone, and then we'll click done. We'll zoom back out, have a look at our picture. I think it looks great. The last thing we have to do is go to File, Export, choose the folder where you want to save the image, rename it if necessary, and then go down. We're going to leave it the original size. We're going to leave it sRGB and a JPEG of a quality of 100. And then click Save. All right, now that that's done, we can go back over to our library module. I'm going to hit G for the grid so I can see all of my images. Now we'll pull up the image we want to use our sky with. This is one I captured midday a few weeks ago at the San Simeon Pier along California's Central Coast. I was using a 10-stop neutral density filter to reduce the amount of light entering my camera so I could get a slow shutter speed and blur the water. In this image, my shutter speed was 2 seconds. I find that 1 to 3 seconds is great for photographing water because you get some of the blur, but it isn't so smoothed out that you lose the sense of movement. So let's dive into the edit. I'm going to go ahead and double click on my image and then move over to the edit tab. We'll start out in the essentials category here and then in the light panel. First thing I'll do is increase the exposure. It's a little bit underexposed, so we'll go ahead and bring that up. The next thing I want to do is add a bit of warmth. It was midday, but I want to add a little bit of that late afternoon glow. So we'll just go ahead and bring that to about there. And then we have a lot of closed up shadows here underneath the pier. So I'm going to go here to the shadow slider and just open up those shadows a little bit, bring out back a little bit of detail in there. The next thing I want to do is go to AI Enhance and let's use some of that accent AI. This just adds some great detail. Opens up the shadows a little bit more. I think that looks wonderful. The next step is AI structure. And we'll just bring that amount up a little bit. Don't want to add too much because we don't want to make the water look too detailed, but we'll bring that up just about there. I think that looks great. Now I really like where this image is going, and I really like how my foreground looks, and I like the pier. So what we're going to do next is we're going to go up here to the layers panel, and I'm going to create a new stamped layer. All right, now we have our new stamped layer. Here's our stamped layer, and here's our original layer. For now, we're going to return to our original layer, and then we're going to go into the creative panel and work with our AI sky replacement. The first thing we do here is we select our sky. I'm going to go down to load custom sky image, and I'm going to choose that JPEG that I created earlier. And I swear this always hits me like magic. I am just blown away by how well this mask goes between the pilings of the pier, and just, it's incredible. I have to say well done to the folks at Skylum. So we're going to go ahead and work with this. The first thing I want to do is move this relight slider to 0. In putting a blue sky over a blue sky, it added a blue color cast to the entire scene. So I'm going to move relight entirely down and bring back that bit of golden light on my pier and on the sand. The next thing I want to do is I want to move the horizon position. It placed the horizon up a little higher than I'd like, so I'm going to go ahead and bring this down so those clouds are a little bit more prominent. I kind of like how those wisps are going off to the left-hand corner of the image, so I'm going to put those there. The next thing we'll work with is horizon blending, and I just want to make a more natural transition between the original sky and the one that I applied. And the reason for this is there was a lot of haze that day, so I want to make sure that doesn't get lost, and it just makes the overall transition look a lot more natural. Finally, we'll click down into the advanced settings, and I want to go to the sky temperature, and again, I want to warm this up a little bit more just to match the tones in our foreground. And I feel like it came in a little bit dark. I'm going to lighten that up because again, it was a little bit hazy, and the sky was blue, but it wasn't quite so. So I'm going to pull that up a little bit. I think that looks really, really good. The next thing is to blend this with my original image. And that's where I get that true wispy cloud look that I feel makes it look very, very natural and believable. I'm going to go back up here to my layers, and I'm going to click on my stamped layer. And what this does is it brings back my original. And now I'm going to go ahead and pull that opacity down to bring in some of those clouds. And I'm going to say right about there, I think looks great. You get some of those wisps in the clouds. You preserve some of that haze that was out on that horizon. It looks very natural and believable. Now that we've added our stamped layer back in and worked with our opacity, let's have a look at how far we've come. Here's our before, and here's our after. I think it's looking pretty good. We'll just add a few more final touches, and then we'll be done. I'm going to go up here to my layers once more, and I'm going to add a new adjustment layer. The first thing I want to do is go back to my Essentials category here, and then I want to go down to the Landscape Enhancer. I really want to capture a more late afternoon feeling rather than the midday that it was. So I'm going to bring in this golden hour and just warm the entire image up right about there. I think that looks beautiful. And the last thing I'll do is I'll add a subtle vignette, and we'll go ahead and I'll bring this vignette slider amount down right about there. I usually like it right around 50. It's kind of typical for me. And I think that looks beautiful. That is an image I would be happy to show just about anywhere. So let me go ahead and let's take a look at our before and our after. You can see it's very, very natural. Anybody looking at this would not know that this is a sky replacement, and that's my goal. I don't want to make it look like, bam, you did something artificial. I just wanted to take what was already there and enhance it a little bit. I wanted to do this because on this particular trip, the skies were clear and the weather was gorgeous, but we had absolutely no detail in our sky, and it was extremely frustrating. So this tool, the AI sky replacement, allows me to go back and create what I saw in my mind's eye and create the image that I had wanted to create, but sometimes weather doesn't cooperate. So I think this is a marvelous tool, and I can't wait to see what you come up with. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Have a great day.